Okay, everybody, I am back for, I guess I'm going to call it part three, but we're going to go through filter and look at the distortions. Everything we've been looking through right now has been through edits. I'm in Photopea, as you can see, and everything's been in edits. So there's the puppet warp through transformations. We've had all these things here. This time we're going to go to filter. And as you can see, there's a lot of things in filter, and we haven't really looked upon it and got involved in it. So we are going to. Let's go to distort because that's what we're working on. We're working on distortion. And notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 different things in there. I will go over all 8. I may go a little brisk, but I will talk about them. So if you need more help, please by all means reach out or I suggest, like I always do, playtime, 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 playtime. Okay, so what we're going to first do is we're going to come on over here and I'm going to show you. We've got our mailbox still when we distorted prior with the warp, distortion, and perspective tool. I got a new one. You can see that layer down here. I still have the one I did before. So what's going to happen is we're going to go to filter, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to displace. So when we do it, again, Photopea, it takes some time. It's working and taking some time. It's uploading what it needs to do, and it's already manipulating the piece. As you can see, it's already done it here. And what's going to happen is it's about repeating edges of the pixels. You can see these bumps, especially here in the United States Postal Service thing, that it has changed, and you can actually start messing with those while I move this over. Now, again, there's going to be a slide bar. It's going to be very slow. I would just click to where you want to go. Like if I'm going to go here with vertical, and let's do some horizontal here. I click here, and notice it works a little faster. But notice how it's pixelating everything. They're going horizontal and vertically, and it's kind of like making it like it's glitching out if you were looking at it on a video screen. So that's what displace is, okay? And it's really kind of cool. And you can have some really cool things that happen with it. Like I say, when you see the project, you might want to apply this. Like maybe somebody is looking at a computer screen and it is glitching out, and this is kind of the effect you're looking for. You have it available there. It looks like it's just kind of like an intermediate or a electrical bump in a picture where you just kind of like patterns out or pixels out. So I thought this was kind of a real cool one. So that's the first one. That's called displace. Again, if you like it, hit OK. If not, you can actually reset it, and it goes back to the original resets that it shows in the beginning, and we take it from there. Again, patience. Notice they start small, basic, very simple stuff. And you can take it from there. Of course, the higher the numbers or the more on the edges of the spectrum, the more it's going to be. Okay. So let's get rid of that. And notice the preview button's always clicked on. If you don't see it, remember, click that preview button. That's something we've always known. Now, the next one we're going to do, again, filter, distort. We're going to go to pinch. It's pretty easy. You're going to know exactly what it is. Again, I'm on the minus side, so notice it's bloated. So pinch doesn't always mean pinch. I can do the opposite of it, and I can bloat something out too. But usually if I go to pinch, I'm going to go to the other perspective. I'm actually pinching the piece together, and it's distorting and contorting it. It's kind of like deflating something, like you're pushing on the sides and pushing something out. So it works really easy. Now, there's no horizontal or vertical like there's in Photoshop, but know that what it is for this online Photopea, I believe this is really, really good, and it gives a lot of things you can do. Yes, you can do one distortion on top of another distortion on top of another distortion. So remember that too. You can layer things. Let's click out of this one, and we're going to go to the next one. Third one again is now we have polar coordinates. So remember the polar coordinates. You have North Pole and South Pole. And what this is going to do is it's going to literally wrap around, and as you can see here, the polar coordinates. So it starts up here, wraps all the way down to the South Pole and back up to the North Pole. Now my piece isn't long enough to wrap all the way around, but it actually swirls it all the way around. And it looks very odd and peculiar. And if it works for you, by all means do it. I would be very particular what you use it. At one point, if it wasn't for the U.S. Postal logo on it, I don't think I would know what this is. I would figure it's some kind of box because I can see the 4 legs and of course this here, but I would not know what it was. So be careful with this one. It also has polar. This one says RECT to polar. Let's flip this one around. It's the opposite. It does the opposite. It's kind of going everything on the outside, like on the outer edges in, rather than the out, I guess from the bottom in and then from the top in. So there's the difference between the two. How to articulate it. It's it looks like I say, they're taking the top and they're rotating it around. And on this one, they're taking the bottom and they're trying to rotate it around. Okay, and that's the difference between the two. This one actually looks like it's melting. It's pretty badass if you're looking for that warp or that melting kind of feeling. All right, and these are pretty easy. And like I say, I want you to play with them. We have Ripple. Ripple in Photoshop is really not a very good one. It's really rough on it. But for some reason, this Ripple, I believe, is better. And what I like to see is you can see that it kind of fuzzes the whole thing out. In Photoshop with Ripple, it usually just does the edges, but in Photopea, this is where it's an advantage. It does the whole picture, which I really, really like to see. And you have different sizes too. So you can do small, medium, and large. And we're going to go to large. It's going to take some time. And notice how cool that is. I can still figure it out, but it looks like something's blurring. Like maybe it was a hot day and you're looking at something at distance and you kind of get that rise and things just kind of like blur and warp. That's kind of a cool thing. Or maybe if you're just waking up and everything's foggy, or if you don't have your glasses on, some of you can't understand that. But when you take your glasses off, things get a little blurry. This is what kind of looks like. I think this is kind of really neat. It also has small too. And then you don't have to do the blurry as much. You can come down here and I can still do large, but the blurry goes back to normal. Let's see if we go with a minus, and notice it kind of has the same thing. It's just how it formulates and pixelates. That's how it is. Okay, fantastic. Let's get out of this one, and we're going to go to our next one. And again, we're going to go now to shear. Shear is really easy. You should know this through type. It is italicizing things left or right. And what you're going to see over here is you're going to see this grid. And there's something really cool about this. You click up here and you'll see these half dots here and here. I will click here, and when it comes black, I can actually slide it. And you can actually see this one kind of working sometimes. I'm going to come all the way to the right, and notice I'm shearing it. Here is what I really, really like about this also. On the bottom down here, it says undefined areas. It says wraparound. The picture actually wraps around to the other side, and I think there is so much possibility with this in our next project. So I just want you to put that in the back of your brain when you're watching this. Just consider it this, okay? But notice I did not move the bottom. I just moved the top, and the top moves. So I'm keeping the bottom like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's on the ground, and the top's tilting. I can actually tilt the bottom too by clicking it, make it black, and then I rotate it over here. Again, take some time. And notice I can see the piece here, here, and here. Now, if I don't want that, I just come here and say, repeat edge pixel. And once you do it, those go away. So you have that option that you have it going off the edge and we don't see it. Or again, if you want to see it, it says wrap around. And I think this is kind of a really neat kind of extra bonus. Okay, we have a couple more left with the filter and distort. The next one's spherize. Spherize is making something larger or rounder or more, I guess, to round things out. And you'll see that in a moment. As you can see here, it is right here. And you can see that it rounds itself out. It starts in the middle and moves itself out. So imagine if you had lines on like a grid, just a square grid, and I start blowing up a balloon underneath it. The middle gets bigger and bigger and rounds out while the outside pretty much stays flat. That's what this does. And again, we have our modes down here. We have normal, we have horizontal and vertical. So if we do horizontal or vertical, I will just show you really quickly. You'll see if it goes horizontal, it will just go lengthwise and blow it out and not vertical wise, okay? So it's blowing it out left and right this way, but not top and bottom. So you can do it either way, or again, the normal one does both sides and you can see how it does. All right, now I'm going to show you this a little bit better, and this applies to everything. So everything I've shown you in Distort and what I'm going to show you soon in Distort is you could put things in an actual into something that's like a marquee. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a marquee around the United States Postal Service. And we're going to get a little closer and we're going to apply. So what I can do is I can go to my filters, and I know I'm going off path. I have still 2 more distorts to do, but this applies to all of these here. So if I do spherized here, notice it just works inside the area that I have. Because remember, this is the marquee, and I told you anything inside the marquee is an active area. So you can be specific on certain things. So if you want to distort things inside of, say, something, you can. So Let's get out of this one. And what I thought was when I was doing my research and and going and doing my playtime. So when I actually show you this, I look very good. I loved this displace where you can kind of hex, do something pretty cool like this inside, and you're messing up this, but yet you're not messing up anything outside of the mailbox. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. So remember, you can get specific. You don't have to use any kind of marquee tool. It could be a lasso tool. It could be all kinds of things. It could be an organic form, or it could be a square or an ellipse. But remember, inside that marquee, these work just specifically in that area. Just a side note. So let's get out of this. Let's get rid of our selection, and let's go back to where we were again. Okay, so that's spherized. It kind of blows things up. Again, you can do that in other tools that I've showed you too. So let's go back to our filters, distort. We have twirl, and it literally is going to twist it and twirl it in either direction. So the farther I go to the right, I'm just clicking on the line, and notice it really gets kind of crazy. So, remember, this is going to be something that is going to be very touchy, and there's other ways to do this too. But notice you kind of get that kind of different kind of I'm melting kind of vibe. And again, if we go to the left, you're twisting one way or the other way, clockwise or counterclockwise. Really, really simple. And we're going to get to the last one, and we'll finish up with this video. I know it's been a little long, but it's been a lot to do. Last distort, we're going to come here is to wave. And of course, it is going to be like waving of a flag of any sorts. But notice, it's pretty intense, okay? And the waves are different. And it's kind of cool. You will see down here, and here's your minimum length and your maximum length. So maximum, of course, goes higher. If you move your minimum, the maximum will go with it. But this is really, and I'm going to say it, here's the hippie in me coming out. It's pretty trippy, man. It's pretty groovy and trippy. So you have your length, and then you have amplification if you want to go up higher with this one. That one's way out. Remember, I'm going to want to be able to see in our this project what it is, and I should be able to recognize it. Not everything, but some things, especially if we're going to use symbolism. And again, I'll get into our project, later on this week. We have X and Y axis scales. You guys should know that through your, through your algebra, X and Y's. So we're in good shape. But then down here, we also have, and I'm going to bring these down a little bit more before I do this. Bring that one down. Bring this one down. Sorry, so you can actually see what's going on here. Let's bring these all the way down. And it's just kind of cool how it is. I just really, really enjoy it. And you can kind of see with the minimum and the maximum length. I'm just going to kind of move these together. But notice if I lose the minimum, the maximum will move with it. So there you go. But notice we have down here these three types. We have triangles. So as you can see, the sign is more of kind of, and I'm moving my hands, and this is hilarious. It's more of a kind of a wave, like a ripple in the water. This one is triangles. It's very hard edges, and you can see it right here, and it kind of looks pretty cool, more mechanical, more man-made, geometric. And then we also have squares, and it's pretty cool. And notice how it kind of like pixelates and moves things out. So this one I really, really like. It's kind of looks like, you're pulling pieces out and trying to put it back in, and somebody put this puzzle back together poorly. But I thought it was really cool. These three types look really, really cool. So those are things you can mess with. Again, we have this wraparound or non-wraparound, like we talked about with the shear tool. You're good to go. But that covers all of our tools in filter. And under the word distort, there's a lot. And I want you to see these because for our next project, you're going to want to use a couple of these. Okay. So have a good rest of the day. Enjoy yourself. It is raining today, but realize that the rain brings growth and brings life and things like that. So let's keep that in perspective, people. Keep this going.